Thrill seekers love danger, but they can't compete with death-defying animals. They fall, splash, and crash. We're counting down the ultimate top 10 animal adrenaline junkies to find out who takes the biggest risks. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride on the Ultimate Animal Countdown. Are you a thrill seeker? Human daredevils are addicted to adrenaline. The greater the risk, the bigger the rush. Animals put their lives on the line every day. Not for fun, but survival. We're counting down the daredevils that take the biggest risks. They're battered, bent, and broken. Some even pay the ultimate price. You hear the daredevil at number 10 long before you see it. The rainforests of Southeast Asia, home to the world's greatest diversity of apes. Feeding on the forest floor is dangerous. But at the first sign of trouble, they take to the trees. One group of primates is so at home in the treetops, it seldom sets foot on the ground. Swinging 45 meters above the forest floor is the gibbon. It has a small body and big cojones. Only birds move faster through the forest. It can hit over 30 miles per hour and fly 50 feet in a single leap. The secret to speed comes from the swing. The ape's arms are twice the length of the gibbon's body. Elongated, curved fingers act as grappling hooks. The treetops are a dangerous highway. Imagine swinging between the cables on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. And some of the cables snap. These daredevils start young. At just 4 months old, they're playing in the branches, 150 feet above the ground. Learning how far they can leap, what weight a branch can carry. For a gibbon, one slip can be deadly. The golden-haired mother makes it look easy. The juvenile still has a lot to learn. The gibbon was lucky, escaping with nothing more than a sore wrist. Sometime in their life, 1/3 of all adults break bones. Gibbons kick off the countdown because their high-flying lifestyle puts them in harm's way. One so confident, it messes with the fiercest predator in the jungle. Gibbons are one of the world's most daring aerial acrobats, but the lower branches of the canopy form their safety net. When they fall, they risk only broken bones. The stakes are far higher for the Daredevils coming up in the countdown. It takes a special kind of crazy to climb into an active volcano. Just getting to the top is dangerous. But despite the risks, the Daredevil at number 9 lives on the slopes of a steaming mountain in the coldest place on the planet, Antarctica. Chinstrap penguins. They spend the winter at sea. They rest on icebergs. If they can scale the frozen cliffs. But at this time of year, they really want to be on land. On this island, the trouble is getting there. It's spring. The penguins must get ashore to breathe. Having survived the cliffs, the penguins march onto an active volcano. This is the largest penguin colony in the world. Two million chinstraps nest on the volcanic Zavodovsky Island. The heat from the crater keeps the slopes free of ice and snow. So the penguins can nest earlier than those farther south. Chinstrap penguins are number 9 because they have one of the world's most dangerous central heating systems. The volcano last erupted in 1819. If it blows again, 2 million penguins will be toast. Our first 2 thrill seekers live the high life in relative safety, unlike an unusual amphibian that risks life and limb. Cliffs are dangerous. Hunters risk falling. And so does the prey. The lizard is caught between a rock and a high place. The bobcat prefers rodents to reptiles. The raven is less fussy. The animal crawling into number 8 has found a daring way to avoid danger from the sky. It's a web-toed salamander. It lives on steep hills in the Sierra Nevada mountains. It doesn't run from danger. It rolls. The salamander is number 8 because it falls off a cliff with no fear, no brakes, and no safety equipment. Unlike other freewheeling daredevils. Humans don't bounce like salamanders. In America alone, 500,000 cyclists a year end up in emergency rooms. Even when things go horribly wrong, some salamanders have no need for specialist medical care. If it loses a leg, it simply grows a new one. These incredible healing powers make the salamander's wheelies relatively low risk. If other daredevils make a mistake, they die. In tropical forests, birds have it easy. Fly in, feed, fly away. Animals without wings have a problem. Climbing is difficult when the first branch is 100 feet up. So in the forests of Asia, daredevils fly between trees without wings. Flying lemurs glide on a membrane of stretched skin. Long legs and sharp claws make landing easy compared to some of the world's least aerodynamic aeronauts. High in the treetops, a frog fights for its life. It's either be eaten or leap into the void. The flying frog's huge webbed feet are airfoils, slowing and controlling its descent. Landings are an issue. But the flying frog has it easy compared to the animal sliding into number 7 in the countdown, the paradise tree snake. It has no legs, no arms, no wings. Yet it throws itself from the highest trees and flies. It climbs vertical surfaces by pushing against the rough edges of bark with ridged scales along its belly. But crawling on your stomach is slow, hard work. Flying is the ultimate way to save time and energy. It loops its body for takeoff and swims through the air on its remarkable belly. By stretching its ribs, the snake doubles its normal width, and its belly takes on the concave shape of a parachute. Some people fly without wings. They don't stretch ribs, but fabric. Flying's easy. Landing's hard. In a wingsuit, it's impossible to reduce speed fast enough for a safe landing. But the paradise tree snake doesn't wear a parachute. The flying snakes of Asia don't really fly. They glide, and they don't really land. They crash. No such luck for other risky creatures. High diving hurts. Unless you're the animal flying into number 6, the pelican. This unlikely daredevil regularly plummets 60 feet into the water. But it pays a high price. Pelicans dive for food. Lots of food. To raise a single chick, some pelican parents catch about 500 pounds of fish in just 10 weeks. Adult brown pelicans make at least 4 feeding trips every day. Their killing zone is close to shore. Cliff diving feels like falling from a 7-story building onto a concrete pavement. Pelicans have protection. By the time the pelican hits the water, it's traveling at 40 miles an hour. It hits the sea with such force that fish are stunned 6 feet below the surface. To survive the high-speed crash, the pelican has air sacs under its skin, built-in bubble wrap to absorb the shock. High diving helps pelicans catch fish beyond the reach of birds on the surface. But it's high risk. Juveniles have to learn how to feed. And the price of failure is death. Up to 3/4 of all brown pelicans never reach their first birthday. At least these daredevils hunt in the open ocean, unlike divers beneath the coldest place on the planet. Antarctica. Only one mammal lives and breeds this close to the South Pole. The Weddell seal. It spends most of its time under the ice, using haunting calls to communicate and sense their surroundings. An extreme diver, the Weddell seal can hold its breath for more than 90 minutes and descend past 2,800 feet. Down here, strange things happen to human bodies. Just ask Tanya Streeter. She's preparing to hold her breath for over 3 minutes. Past 300 feet, it's nothing but continuous pain. Tanya Streeter is the first human to free dive past 520 feet. The Weddell seal dives differently. Before submerging, it breathes out, not in. On a deep dive, pressure on the internal organs forces the remaining air out of the lungs. The seal relies on oxygen stored in its muscles and blood. Relative to body size, the Weddell seal has twice as much blood as a human. The Weddell seal is superbly designed for diving under the ice. Its biggest challenge is on the surface. With average winter temperatures of minus 13 degrees, breathing holes freeze over. Without access to air, the seals die. So they go to work. Continually scraping away at the ice keeps their breathing holes open. But it wears down their teeth. Blunt teeth means no hunting. No hunting means death. We're halfway through our ultimate countdown of the top 10 daredevils in the natural world. And the body count just keeps rising when males risk it all for a lethal game of chicken. The eagle. The ultimate bird of prey. Aerial acrobat. Daring diver. Able to lift nearly half its weight out of the water at high speed. Prey seldom escapes the 2-inch talons. Most of the time. Catching a fish is risky. Keeping it can be riskier. A dogfight over a disputed fish seems harmless. Eagles have the power and maneuverability to kill on the wing. A mid-air attack takes out birds as big as geese. So when two eagles fight, their ritualized battle is a dance with death. This sea eagle is patrolling his territory. An intruder. The flashing talons are a challenge. When intimidation fails, the eagles lock talons in a deadly game of chicken. These daredevil males are number 4 because their aerial acrobatics can lead to injury or death. Let go first, and you lose. Hold on too long, and you die. This is the longest mountain range in the world, the Andes. It's only 60 miles from mountains to the sea, and water falls 10,000 furious feet, creating some of the most violent rivers in the world. The Daredevil at number 3 rides these rapids with ease. The torrent duck. No other duck lives in the white water. It's just too risky. But torrent ducks learn young. Babies are thrown in at the deep end. This pair has a nest. It's 30 feet up, out of reach of flash floods. Mom goes to fetch her chicks, just 2 days old. Dad waits far below. The ducklings are so buoyant, they float on the surface. There's no danger of drowning. But the raging waters are lethal. If a chick is swept away from its parents, it's unlikely to survive alone in the wild water. In this extreme environment, many chicks die. But other daredevils take even bigger risks in a world where just one slip can be fatal. The Himalayas, the world's tallest mountains. Deadly home of a mountain sheep called the Baral. This daring mountaineer is number 2 in the countdown because it's safer living on the edge than down on the flats where the predators dwell. In summer, it regularly climbs above 14,000 feet. The Baral clings to the cliffs using specialist mountaineering equipment. The front toes are split, splaying wide to grip the rock and act as shock absorbers. Pointed toenails are wedged into tiny crevices, and rubbery pads on the hooves provide traction. They need all the grip they can get. As if life isn't risky enough, there's combat on the cliffs. For most of the year, mature males live apart from the main herd. Sex brings them together. But if they want to mate, they must fight. For several weeks, they try to push each other off the cliff. There's method in this madness. Only a large and skillful male traps a female on his own. The female ensures her offspring are sired by the biggest, strongest animals. But this is a brutal land to bring up the kids. They have only the vigilance of their mothers for protection. Only half the Baral born each year survive to their second birthday. At least this mom places herself between baby and the drop. The ultimate daredevils are created when mother pushes them right off a cliff. We've seen 9 of nature's craziest adrenaline junkies put their lives on the line. But the ultimate risk-taker stares death in the face to be number 1. spring in the Arctic. Some birds have spent months, even years at sea. They only come ashore to breed. And foxes are waiting. There is a way to avoid foxes, but it comes at a cost and turns these birds into the ultimate animal daredevil. The barnacle goose nests on top of a natural fortress. The chicks are safe, but there's a problem. The nearest grass is down on the valley floor. The geese don't bring food to their babies, so the babies must move to the food. Over 300 feet, straight down. Once, people thought the geese carried their chicks on their backs. The truth is even more unbelievable. Their only protection is fluffy down, and sometimes that's not enough. The baby barnacle goose is number one because it has no parachute, no wings, and no fear. Attracted by the commotion, a fox feasts on bodies dead and alive. The parents attempt to distract the fox. Only half the babies survive the dangerous descent. This terrifying leap of faith is the ultimate adrenaline rush, which is why the barnacle goose is number one. Wild sex, daring, dangerous, deadly, awkward. It's much more than making babies. We're getting intimate with the ultimate top 10 sexual athletes of the natural world. Lust is a must on the ultimate animal countdown. humans are unusual. They're a rare breed of mammal that mates throughout the year. Animals do it differently. We're counting down nature's wildest lovers. From lonely virgins to naughty nymphomaniacs. In search of fireworks that are bigger, faster, longer. Sex began more than 1 billion years ago. But some animals can do without. The Komodo dragon, the world's largest lizard, and a virgin who gives birth. Females use immaculate conception. Males want sex, and lots of it. They'll fight anybody who gets in their way. Male-on-male action looks rough. But it's nothing compared to dragon lovemaking. The victor moves in to claim his reward. The female runs with good reason. For most of the year, males dominate the smaller females, driving them off if they compete for food. Now, he's looking for love, and the attacks continue. This is foreplay. This time, the male gets his way. But the Komodo dragon kicks off the countdown because some females don't need males to make babies. Some females give birth as virgins. It's a huge advantage for a reptile that lives on the islands of Indonesia. Dragons are remarkable swimmers. A female castaway alone on an island could never have sex, but she can still have babies. Her unfertilized eggs have only half her genes. Sperm is supposed to provide the other half. But if a female finds herself without a male, her half set of chromosomes doubles up. She lays fertile eggs. The genetics of the giant lizard's self-fertilization mean her babies are always male. Now, there are males and a female on the island. When the babies become adults, if the mother mates with her sons, a sexually reproducing population is born. The Komodo dragon is number 10 because some females never need nookie. Few animals are as chaste. For the animal creeping into number 9, there's no such thing as safe sex. A male praying mantis, prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice for his genetic future. Everybody wants a piece of him. Frogs are bad. Females are worse. You don't mess with a mantis. Compared to a male praying mantis, females are bigger, stronger, fiercer, and their appetite is astonishing. A male approaches with extreme caution. Now, he has to hang on for dear life. Kiss becomes love bite. And the male loses his head. But copulation continues, thanks to a mini brain in his butt. Amazingly, decapitation increases both mating duration and the chance of fertilization. Even when the female's full, the carcass keeps on thrusting. His death had a purpose. Inside a bed of bubbles, the fertilized female lays up to 200 eggs. It's late autumn, and her insect food supplies may be scarce. So the male's last supper provided protein to nourish her pregnancy, helping his genes thrive long after he's gone. The male praying mantis is number 9 because he may have but one shot at sex. He's the ultimate dinner date. Our first 2 animals seldom feel the earth move, but things get more romantic when lovers light up their whole world. For these fish, finding a mate is easy. They school for sex. Mates are bright and easy to see. But dive into the deep, and things get difficult. Descend past 3,300 feet, and you enter a world of perpetual darkness. But there is light here. Bioluminescence. Swimming into number 8 is the deep sea anglerfish. Inside a modified spine of the dorsal fin, bacteria generate light. A lure attracting prey to the murderous teeth. She needs different bait to attract a mate. A good male is hard to find. He's a tenth of her size. His only purpose is to sniff out a female, following a chemical trail she leaves in the water. He's found the love of his life. Now, he'll never let her go. Once locked onto the female, the male's body degenerates. His jaws fuse into her skin. His internal organs disappear. They blend bloodstreams, leaving little more than a lump of gonads. The male deep-sea anglerfish is number 8 because his single romantic encounter transforms him into a sexual vampire, forever clinging to the female, sucking the blood from her veins. In the forests of Tasmania, a wombat is in for a nasty surprise. As he heads off for a couple of days grazing, he leaves behind a burrow, soon to become a love nest for the animals sniffing around at number 7, the Tasmanian devil. It's her first home. She gets rid of the wombat's bedding. Then she redecorates. The she-devil selects new furniture. Fresh twigs and branches to line her nest. But her romantic bliss will soon be shattered. 2 males fighting for territory. The winner is huge, battle-scarred, hungry for sex. He picks up the scent of the young female. She's new. She's in season. She's his. The smaller female is feisty. The battle's still raging when the wombat returns. Fortunately, this isn't his only home in this part of the forest. Eventually, the female submits. Mating continues for several hours. Then they rest. But the devil's not done. He guards the entrance. She's a prisoner. A brush-tailed possum distracts his attention. The female seizes her chance for freedom. But the devil makes sure no rival male will mate. She's his sex slave. The Tasmanian devil is number 7 in the countdown because he mates continuously for up to 5 days. But this male's running out of time. Chemical changes are happening within the female. Submission becomes aggression. It's time to take out the trash. His mission's accomplished. She's pregnant. The Tasmanian devil's rowdy relationship is over in days. Unlike some sexual athletes, whose lovemaking lasts weeks, months, or years. Hidden in the frozen wastes of central Canada is the ultimate phallic symbol. This red-sided garter snake has spent 8 months in hibernation, deep underground. With the arrival of spring, temperatures rise, and so do the males. All 50,000 of them. It's the largest concentration of snakes in the world. The males have lost a third of their body weight over winter. But before feeding, they must mate. When a female, 3 times larger than the males, emerges from hibernation, she's outnumbered 500 to 1. Attracted by the female's strong scent, males enter a sexual frenzy. Up to 100 males try to mate with a single female. Eventually, the female tries to escape. At the end of the orgy, the snakes disperse. But there is another animal that overdoses on love. Late winter in Australia, lust is in the air. A marsupial mouse. He's 10 months old and only just sexually mature. He's got weeks to live and only one thing on his mind. The male marsupial mouse jumps into number 5 because he spends his last days in a sexual frenzy. Fueled by a flood of natural steroids in his bloodstream, he's so busy making babies, he doesn't eat. All females come into season at once. There's no time for romance. He'll mate with every female in the district, or die trying. Each mating takes about 12 hours without a break. Unless he's interrupted by an equally desperate rival. The female is forgotten. the intruder goes in search of unguarded love. But the male's in trouble. 2 weeks of sex and violence is taking its toll. His immune system is collapsing. Finally, the female abandons him. Burned out, racked by seizures, poisoned by steroids in his blood. He's making the ultimate sacrifice for his family. The female lives on and will raise his offspring. They have a better chance of survival without Dad. He's just another mouth competing for what little food there is in the forest. The life of a male marsupial mouse is short and violent. But at least he goes out with a bang. We're halfway through the ultimate countdown of nature's greatest sexual athletes. And things get really steamy with sweet transsexuals in a real-life Rocky Horror Show. Floating into number 4 is one of the world's most accomplished cross-dressers, the cuttlefish. It's easy to change your appearance when you have up to 20 million pigment cells in your skin. For most of its life, the cuttlefish uses its psychedelic wardrobe for hunting. But it can also mesmerize a mate. Giant cuttlefish live just 2 short years. Before they die, thousands come together for a final fling. Males can outnumber females 10 to 1. Big males are bullies. They defend a female with a flash of skin or physical force. This male is too small to fight, so he gets in touch with his feminine side. The big male is nearly twice his size. So the little male pulls a transvestite trick. He dresses like a female. The little she-male's no threat to the big boys. He's safe, as long as the big male doesn't attempt a mating. All he needs is a distraction. He's in. For a female cuttlefish, size isn't everything. Her eggs are fertilized by a mixture of sperm from multiple matings. For 2 months, It's a frantic frenzy of psychedelic seduction. And when the eggs are laid, the cuttlefish die. Unlike another kinkier creature that kills his female before she gives birth. Spring is coming. Sex is in the air. Innocent animals, beware. The animal hiding at number 3 has nothing to fear from a hungry snake. If camouflage fails, a flash of red from the fire-bellied toad warns predators of potent poisons. During the day, males feast. They need all the energy they can get because at night they go looking for love in all the wrong places. Fire-bellied toads are number 3 because for more than 3 months the males are mating maniacs. They'll climb on board anything that moves. So this black-spotted pond frog is in for a nasty surprise. Not only is the frog the wrong species, but she's a he. The horny toads will hump anything, floating twigs, fish, even human fingers. Competition is stiff. Males outnumber females 15 to 1. So when a female finally appears, things can go horribly wrong. These males have the right sex and species, but in their rush to reproduce, the males have ruptured her belly. The female is dead. Things only get worse when mating males kill not females, but babies. The king of the jungle, ferocious predator, devoted father, sexual athlete. For every cub raised, he's had about 3,000 sexual encounters. That's because females use sex to coerce the king of the jungle. Lay a lion, and he'll fight for his family. Rivals threaten his reign. Two brothers looking for love. Females, fearing the worst, hide their cubs. down. Bloodied, beaten, banished. The brothers have conquered. The pride is theirs. The cubs are not. So the new males systematically hunt the babies down and kill them. The females are helpless. All that parental effort wasted. The males benefit. The bereft females come quickly into season. The lionesses need a strong coalition of males to protect them. They don't want the brothers fighting over sex. So the females become insatiable. A female in heat demands to be mated every 25 minutes. When one male's had enough, she moves on to the other. The lion is number 2 in the countdown because in just 3 days, a female copulates nearly 200 times. Three months later, the new cubs arrive. They have nothing to fear from their fathers. The mother's manic mating confused the issue of paternity. Both brothers mated, so both males work together to protect the bloodline. Satisfying a dozen passionate princesses is hard work. No wonder males sleep up to 20 hours a day. But even the lion's rampant rooting can't compete with the ultimate king of canoodling. We've seen 9 of nature's wildest lovers. From vestal virgins to manic maters, only one animal has more sex, and it's number 1. ultimate amorous animal lives in the remote jungles of Africa. One of the rarest and least known of all apes. The pygmy chimpanzee is our nearest living relative. We share 98% of our DNA and a love of sex. They live in a matriarchal society. Females play a key role in politics. Their social life is based on sex, not violence. Everyone does it. Males with males. Females with females. Old with young. They use sex as a greeting. To appease. To reassure. Life isn't always an orgy. Males have a pecking order. Dragging branches is a threat. But it's mostly a bluff. And a quickie calms them down. Most animals only have sex to make babies. But for the world's most erotic apes, sex is the binding force that creates a satisfied, contented, peaceful society. Which is why the pygmy chimpanzee is number one. Some animals die hard. They take self-defense to new levels. Body armor and bodyguards. Barricades and bombs. We're counting down the ultimate top 10 defenders in the natural world. Remember, you're not paranoid if the world really is out to eat you. On the ultimate animal countdown. Humans defend with their lives. And so do animals. It's an evolutionary arms race between attack and defense. Using startling new tools. We're counting down to find the animal with the greatest number of sophisticated security systems. It's a matter of life or death. The countdown begins on the savanna of Africa. lion country. How do you defend against 400 pounds of muscle, teeth, and claw? African buffaloes have the answer. The buffalo charges into number 10 because it's basically a battleship on 4 legs. It's wrapped in a leathery hide, an inch thick around the neck. Heavy horns, 3 feet across. And sharp hooves pound predators to a pulp. On top of that, the herd forms a protective barrier specifically aimed at warding off lions. At the head is the advanced guard, often older, experienced males. Mature adults protect the flanks, while others form a rear guard. The vulnerable calves are in the middle, surrounded by 30 tons of ever-vigilant muscle and horn. Target a calf at your peril. The lion was lucky to escape without serious injury. Working together, a pride of lions can breach the buffalo's defenses. But the herd won't leave a fallen comrade. The herd is strong enough to drive the pride off a kill. Isolate an individual, it's in big trouble. Now, the buffalo unleash their ultimate defense. Attack. The king of the jungle is dead. killed in self-defense by a cow. Not all animals possess the buffalo's physical strength and standard defenses. In fact, the most advanced defensive weapon systems are often found on the world's wimpiest animals. Chum in the water attracts visitors. Sharks aren't fussy. They'll eat most fish, dead or alive. But there's one animal they can't stomach. It's a scavenger living 4,000 feet down. The hagfish, one of the most repulsive creatures in the ocean. It feeds on dead and dying animals, entering any available orifice and eating them from the inside out. It looks completely defenseless. And there are predators down here. Hagfish have no jaws or teeth. Instead, they have rasps. They pull food into their mouth, and the rasps pinch together, grinding flesh. They look like an easy meal until you give them a squeeze. It takes just 0.4 seconds to turn seawater into 17 pints of slime. A super snotty shield. Glands along their body fire out protein pellets that swell on contact with water. Other glands fire explosive threads. Together, they form the slimy equivalent of a bulletproof vest. Even down here, a bag of chum attracts unwelcome visitors. The sticky slime gums up the gills, suffocating predators. Scientists using the diving rig recorded 14 different attacks on hagfish. Not one was successful. The hagfish's unique defense system has helped it survive on the sea floor for 300 million years. sticky snot rules. Our first two defenders rely on simple tactics: power and slime. Defensive weaponry gets more sophisticated with an animal that fights fire with feces. Small birds are vulnerable. So the fieldfare, a cousin of the thrush, posts sentries. One alarm call and a defensive squadron of fighter bombers take to the air. Fieldfares have firepower. The stink bombs are corrosive. Predators get so plastered in poop, they can no longer fly. It's crude, but effective. So imagine the mess when thousands of birds flock together. These starlings have no leader, no choreographer. Each individual is acutely aware of its nearest neighbors. The birds are attracted to each other, keeping about 3 body lengths between them. It's a spectacular sight and a clever defense. Thousands of eyes scanned for danger. And the swirling mass of bodies confuses predators. It looks chaotic, but there are patterns in the flight paths. When 2 peregrine falcons attack, shockwaves spread through the flock. But as soon as the danger moves past, the power of the swarm brings them back together again. This constant splitting and reforming looks as though the group thinks as one. But it's a collection of individuals working selfishly to defend themselves. But there are animals that make sacrifices for the sake of the swarm. Africa is home to the world's most fearless animal, the honey badger. It laughs at leopards. And eats venomous snakes for breakfast. But the honey badger's biggest battle is with the animal flying into number 7. Bees. Honey badgers love honey. But bees defend their nest with their lives. Initially, the honey badger don't care. Honey badger takes what he wants. But soon, the honey badger, capable of fighting off lions, is driven back by the swarm. Each defender is equipped with a venomous sting. One sting hurts. Many stings can be fatal. Honey badgers have been found dead inside beehives. Venom is a powerful weapon against all kinds of animals. Biting predators is dangerous for even the deadliest snakes. The fearsome predator is an easy target if you're young and dumb. Coyote pups learn the hard way that snakes have sophisticated defenses. The rattle says, back off. The coiled posture says, make my day. Miss the warnings, you get bit. The rattler doesn't waste venom on foolhardy coyotes. More than half of all rattlesnake bites are dry. It's an effective defense, but not without risk. Snakes can only bite at close range. So one snake has found a way to defend at a distance. Sliding into number 6 is a cobra. Biting a lion could be seriously bad for your health, so the cobra uses a different defense. The snake looks the king of the jungle straight in the eye and spits. In most snakes, the venom travels straight down the hollow tooth and exits out a large hole at low pressure. In spitting cobras, the canal opens through a small hole at right angles to the fang. This fires venom at high pressure, much like putting your finger over the end of a garden hose. A direct hit, and the lion's blinded for life. But some defenders deploy more than just vicious venom. The coati, a relative of the raccoon. It has sharp teeth, strong jaws, and a taste for bugs. Venom is no defense. To fend off a coati, the animal crawling into number 5 deploys additional defenses. The tarantula. It has venomous fangs, an armored body, and a secret weapon on its big, hairy butt. Flicking the back leg releases a cloud of hairs into the air. They may look soft and furry, but the bristles are like tiny shards of fiberglass, covered with hundreds of vicious hooks. Fired into the eyes and nose, the hairs cause intense irritation, even edema and death. The coati's nose fills with snot trying to flush out the horrible hairs. A final barrage, and the coati gets the message. So if you ever see a tarantula with a bald butt, you know that somewhere, someone is in a world of hurt. We're halfway through our countdown of the top 10 defenders in the natural world. And security systems get more complex inside the elite club of tool-using animals. In the desert, food is hard to find. Predators can go days without eating. So if they find a lizard, it's usually lunch. Unless the reptile has radical defenses. The collared lizard uses extreme speed. It's one of the few lizards in the world that runs on 2 legs. But running is hard work. So the animal basking at number 4 deploys many different defenses. The horned lizard. You can't be eaten if you can't be seen. Its skin is both camouflage and armor. It eats ants, They defend themselves with powerful jaws and stings. No match for the lizard's scaly skin. But these jaws need a different defense. The horned lizard is number 4 because it can increase the blood pressure in its eyes until blood squirts 3 feet in the air. The horned lizard is number 4 because its defense combines camouflage, armor, and blood. Things get more sophisticated when the blood belongs to a bodyguard. A suit of armor is a great defense. Animals like a turtle grow their own, fusing bone into a heavy shield. The animal crawling into number 3 prefers shopping secondhand. The hermit crab. It supplements its own body armor by living inside empty mollusk shells. As the crab grows, it finds a new fortress. But there's a problem. Some predators can suck a crab out of its armor. The hermit crab needs a bodyguard. The sea anemone floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. It's armed with microscopic coiled harpoons, pumping paralyzing venom. Touching the tentacles is lethal. The anemone's terrifying tentacles are perfect for attack and defense. The hermit crab is number 3 because it augments its armor with the ultimate coat of arms. Unsticking an anemone isn't easy, unless you know how to tickle its butt. The crab now has 3 bodyguards, armed and dangerous. The octopus loves crab. Anemones? Not so much. The hermit crab makes up for its own defensive weaknesses by hiring a bodyguard. In return, the anemone gets a mobile home and all the food it can eat. The giant anteater has a nose for the animals crawling into number 2 in the countdown, if it can reach them. Castles of clay, centuries old. Defended by one of the world's most formidable armies. Termites. This is the queen. She lays 36,000 eggs a day, over 10 million a year. And she lives for 30 years, building an army of defenders. She needs soldiers because her empire is always at war. An anteater eats 30,000 insects a day. Its claws are so long, the anteater has to walk on the sides of its feet. The termite defense is breached. It unleashes a tremendous tongue. Covered in sticky spit, the tongue dives deep, 160 times a minute. Some defenders are lost. The rest mobilize to repair the damage. Workers chew soil, mixing it with saliva and dung, making plaster that sets like concrete. Each year, the colony shifts up to 2 tons of soil, creating towers taller than a giraffe. A fortress under constant attack by ants. Matabele ants. Matabele ants eat termites. One colony devours over 6,000 a day. But the termites fight back. Terminator termites, bred specifically to defend the colony. Worker termites are defenseless. Soldier termites are walking weapons. Some have massive heads and jaws that slice and dice. Other heads have nozzles that squirt noxious chemicals. Some are suicide bombers, splitting their body to release a yellow, sticky goo to trap invaders. This deadly diversity of defenders is why termites fight their way into number 2. Soldiers have a single purpose: kill or be killed. The termites use a classic military tactic. Up against superior forces, seize and hold a narrow passage. Soldiers sacrifice their lives, buying precious time for workers to seal off the passages into the bunker. Denied entry, the ants withdraw to to feast on the fallen termites. Hundreds of termites died, but millions more survive. Working together, the termite colony is safe in their armored fortress. But even the termites' numerous defensive tactics can't compete with the ultimate animal defender. We've seen 9 of nature's most dedicated defenders. Only one animal deploys a greater variety of sophisticated security systems. It's number 1. The ultimate animal defender has no armor, no shell, no spines, no skeleton. The octopus. Its soft body flows like water. It's an aquatic Houdini, finding remarkable ways to escape from life and death confrontations. The octopus is the world's most intelligent invertebrate, at least as smart as a house cat. But it uses far more than just brains. The octopus is number 1 because it deploys a barrage of high-tech defense systems, from smoke screens and artillery to mimicry and camouflage. To survive in an ocean full of predators, the surest way to avoid being eaten is to become invisible. When it comes to camouflage, the octopus makes a chameleon look like an amateur. Its skin is covered in tiny sacs of pigment, 150,000 per square inch. The sacs come in 5 colors. When they expand or contract, the octopus changes color, like the pixels on a television screen. It's a spectacular defense against hungry eyes. Another octopus changes more than just its skin. It lives on the bare, silty seabed. There's nowhere to hide. So, at the first sign of trouble, the octopus swims like a flatfish. Armed with a venomous spike, many predators stay well clear. If that doesn't work, there's always the lionfish, brandishing its venomous spines. If threatened by a fish, the octopus sticks 6 arms into a hole, a convincing impersonation of a banded sea snake. Or even the ferocious snake eel. No wonder it's called the mimic octopus. The veined octopus has yet another defense. It protects its body with a suit of armor. Coconut shells. A coconut-carrying octopus may be slow, but it's always got somewhere to hide. Building a shield makes the octopus the newest member of an elite club. Tool-using animals. Even chimpanzees don't use natural materials to create shelters. And chimps can't hide their escape behind a smokescreen. Another octopus squirts more than just ink. Sometimes, attack is the best means of defense. No other animal deploys so many sophisticated defense systems. Camouflage, mimicry, armor, smokescreens, and artillery. Which is why the octopus is number 1. Are you a survivor? In the world's harshest environments, we're wimps compared to the toughest creatures on the planet. We're counting down the ultimate top 10 survivors in the natural world to find the animal with the most extraordinary endurance. When the going gets tough, the tough really get going on the ultimate animal countdown.
Mayday, mayday.
Could you cope with nature's worst crashes? Cataclysms and catastrophes. We're counting down the world's toughest animals, surviving against the odds for days, months, or years. hurricane unleashes the energy of 10,000 nuclear bombs. In Florida, it wreaks havoc on land and sea. The storm surge sweeps fish onto shore, leaving them stranded. Including the animal swimming into number 10. Reef sharks. Shallow water is their nursery. But sharks are survivors. They avoid bad weather, tipped off by their super sensitive ears. The shark's inner ear is similar to ours and can detect changes in pressure. Useful when it dives deep or when a hurricane approaches. But we only discovered by accident. Scientists were studying sharks off the coast of Florida using an acoustic tracking system. In the shallow bay, a locator signal every 15 minutes tracked their movements. Then one day, the sharks just disappeared, and no one knew why. At the time, people had bigger problems. A Category 4 storm was bearing down on the Gulf Coast. Analyzing the data, scientists discovered sharks detected the drop in barometric pressure preceding the storm. They bolted from their shallow nursery to the safety of deeper waters. 12 hours later, Hurricane Charlie ripped across Florida. When the storm was over, the sharks returned. Reef sharks kick off the survivor countdown because, thanks to incredible senses, they dodge disaster. Other animals are not so lucky, battling adversity for days, months, or years. One-fifth of the Earth's surface is desert. Baking hot, bone dry. To survive here takes a special kind of animal. And special humans to catch them. In the outback of Australia, these guys are hunting the next survivor sprinting into number 9, the camel. Introduced in the 19th century, camels thrived in the arid land. Now, they're pests. Rounded up and sent back to the Middle East. Try running through a desert without water or shade, and you'd be dead in a day. Camels barely break a sweat. Camels can go 8 days without water. One secret for survival is on their back. Camels store fat, not water, in their hump. It's a portable pantry. By burning all the fat in its hump, a camel can survive without food for up to a month. When a camel finds water, it soaks it up like a sponge. A thirsty animal chugs 30 gallons in 13 minutes. Try that at home, and your blood cells would burst. Needless to say, camel blood is different. The red blood cells are oval, not round like a human's. When water rushes in, the cells of most species rupture if they swell past 150%. Camel cells can increase 240% without bursting. A camel may drink more than a third of its body weight as it rehydrates. In lands barren and inhospitable as any on the planet, camels do more than survive. They race. Camels can hit speeds of 25 miles an hour. The races are big business in the Middle East. Racing stables in search of breeding stock import wild camels all the way from Australia. When it comes to survival in the desert, the camel wins by a nose. Our first two animals survive storms at sea and on land. But flash floods can be fatal to anyone. A storm in the desert. Short, violent. Sand soaks up rain slowly, so water falls off hills. Flash flood. You can run, but you can't hide. In the desert, floods soon subside. For the animal crawling into number 8, the water is both life and death. Desert ants make the most of the flood, drinking heavily. It could be years before the next rains. In the Amazon, there are 2 seasons: wet and wetter. For 6 months, heavy rains cause rivers to rise. Forests to flood. The Amazon and its tributaries overflow an area about the size of California. Which poses real problems for ants. Their homes can be covered with over 30 feet of water for months at a time. To survive the flood, ants need to build an ark. It's a raft, a miracle of biological engineering. None of the ants are submerged or even get wet. Their water-repellent bodies push against the surface, shaping it into a bowl without breaking the surface tension. Nature's Noahs are number 8 in the countdown because the ants' ark can ride out the flood for months. It holds millions of passengers with 0 casualties, unless it runs into pirates. Heat is another killer. Out of the shade of the forest, the larvae are suffering. Workers carry them to the edge of the raft and dip them in the cool water. The fight for survival doesn't end when the colony runs aground. Scouts race ahead to find a new nest site. Others unload the women and children. Soon, the ants will be safe in a new nest. Until the next flood. Drought is deadly. Without water, some animals are forced to leave. Others do something unbelievable. Tiger salamanders become cannibals. In the shallow ponds of Arizona, Juvenile tiger salamanders come in two types, both with feathery gills. Mom has no gills and lays eggs. But not all eggs are created equal. Scientists discovered the tiger salamander has a unique way to survive drought. Some eggs carry the genetic blueprints to become harmless plankton feeders. Others become cannibals. A month after hatching, they transform into killers with big teeth and big heads. Which blueprint they follow depends on the weather. If their pond remains full, the harmless smallheads dominate, feeding on plankton. But if the summer rains fail, a shrinking pond means more bigheads. Armed with curved teeth and strong jaws, the bigheads feast on the defenseless plankton eaters. The bigheads become so bloated, they can barely swim. But this is gluttony with a purpose. As the drought worsens, the pond shrinks. And the explosive growth of the cannibals pays off. Skin toughens. Gills disappear. Lungs grow. The bigheads are air-breathing adults. The tiger salamander walks into number 7 because it turns cannibalism into a sophisticated insurance policy. But eating each other is a short-term survival solution. Some animals can go without food for months, or years, or decades. The Arctic. One of the harshest environments on Earth. In winter, temperatures plunge to minus 50 degrees. One animal sleeps in the storm. The polar bear. It survives in the frozen wilderness by saving energy. The polar bear looks white, but its skin is black and absorbs heat. There are 2 layers of fur, a soft undercoat, and guard hairs up to 6 inches long. The fur, coupled with a thick layer of fat, is such an efficient insulator that a bear loses little heat. Look through an infrared thermal imaging camera and a polar bear is almost invisible, appearing little warmer than the frozen land. Wrapped in the ultimate survival suit, males spend their lives exposed to the elements. Pregnant females use a different strategy. At the start of winter, they disappear underground. Outside, a male wanders far in search of food. Inside, a female travels through time. She slows her metabolism and sleeps. She never eats, never drinks, never goes to the toilet. The female polar bear is number 6 because she sleeps for over 3 months, living off her fat reserves. She not only survives the winter, but creates 2 new lives. The young bears learn their survival skills from mother. How to keep warm, what to eat, where to walk. They must learn fast or freeze solid, just like the animal sliding into number 5. Only one frog in the world is found north of the Arctic Circle: the wood frog. It has to survive the northern winter. The frog is cold-blooded. So when the ground freezes, so does the frog. Cold's not the problem, it's the ice. The crystals expand like daggers. For most animals, freezing means certain death, but not this frog. The first ice crystal forming on its skin sets off a chain reaction. The cells prepare by filling with glucose, a natural antifreeze. The fluid between the cells contains proteins that attract ice, quickly forming crystals small enough to prevent injury. Blood freezes in veins, and the ice races towards the heart. In 20 hours, the frog is frozen. 70% of the water in its body is ice. There's no breathing, no heartbeat. The wood frog is number 5 because it survives the winter in suspended animation. Essentially, there's no frog here at all. It's just a collection of individual cells suspended in ice, struggling to stay alive. The frog spends months locked inside its frozen time capsule. The ice is melting, but the frog is dead. Unless it can kick-start its heart. Blood flows, nerves twitch. The frog is back from the dead. There's no frostbite, no damage. The spring ponds of the north are free from competition. No other frog can survive life in the deep freeze. We're halfway through our ultimate countdown of the top 10 survivors in the natural world. And things just get tougher when even decapitation won't kill a remarkable rooster. The next incredible story of survival comes from down on the farm. It's September 10th, 1945. Farmer Lloyd Olson is having chicken for dinner. He selects a 5-month-old rooster called Mike. The headless chicken carried on as though nothing had happened. A blood clot prevented him from bleeding to death. Mike's head was gone, but most of the brainstem and one ear was intact. And a brainstem provides all the thinking power a chicken needs to survive. Mike the headless chicken became famous. Feeding was a problem. Farmer Lloyd dropped water and grain down what was left of Mike's gullet. Mike not only survived, he thrived. Mike the chicken struts into number 4 because he lived for 18 months without a head. Unfortunately, Mike had a mucus problem and needed an eyedropper to clear his airways. One day, Lloyd couldn't get to the eyedropper fast enough. And his headless chicken died. But Mike's legend lives on. The animals crawling into number 3 thrive in the underworld. Rats. We think they're dirty, disgusting, diseased. But rats have incredible survival skills. They can chew through cinder blocks, squeeze through spaces the size of a quarter, survive a fall of 50 feet, swim over a mile, and tread water for 3 days. One pair can potentially produce 15,000 descendants a year. Rats don't have many friends, possibly because they go where we go. Rats are bad for the health. In the last 1,000 years, diseases carried by rats have killed more people than all of the world's wars and revolutions combined. And there's every chance rats will survive long after we've been wiped off the face of the planet. Nuclear holocaust. But rats can survive. Eniwetok Atoll, a string of tiny islands in the Pacific Ocean. It was a tropical paradise for rats until the US military arrived. Between 1946 and 1958, 40 nuclear bombs were detonated on Eniwetok Atoll. The largest explosion carved a mile-wide crater in the coral reef.
It is now 30 seconds to 0 time. Put on goggles or turn away. Minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The destructive power of the test was roughly 800 times larger than the explosion in Hiroshima. It seemed the island was wiped clean of life. But not of rats. Shielded from the blast inside cable tunnels or under concrete, they emerged into the apocalypse. 2 years later, scientists found the rat population had not only survived, but thrived. They'd scavenged food on the beach and supplemented their diet with a little cannibalism. The rats appear healthy, normal animals. But nobody's quite sure what mutations may have been caused by exposure to so much radiation. All life needs water. Southern Africa is ravaged by droughts. Most fish die, but not the animal sliding into number 2, the lungfish. It can breathe air. So when the going gets tough, the lungfish digs deep. Three feet underground, it swallows mud to excavate a chamber. It secretes slime that hardens into an impermeable body bag, sealing the lungfish away from the drought. Mud makes a time capsule and great bricks. Inside its cocoon, the lungfish shuts down. The comatose lungfish is number 2 because it can remain in suspended animation for up to 4 years. But even in southern Africa, the rains will come. Water dissolves the slime sac. The lungfish awakes, withered and shrunken. It has survived for 4 years by cannibalizing its own muscles, but it has still enough strength to slither to water. It's an extraordinary feat of endurance. Only one animal survives longer in far worse conditions. We've seen 9 of nature's toughest animals endure everything from famine to freezing for weeks, months, and years. But the ultimate survivor goes without food for a decade. It's number 1. The ultimate survivor hides out in the forests of Canada. For the world's largest deer, it makes life a living hell. Moose are bled dry, attacked by a plague of tiny vampires. It's late summer. Bloodsuckers, the size of a grain of sand, swarm at the optimum height to meet a moose. ticks. CO2 from moose breath stimulates the swarm. One moose can be home to 100,000 ticks. Over 2 months, the ticks drink 10 gallons. That's a moose's total volume of blood. Infested animals are called ghosts. Pale skin shows through where the intensely itchy animals rubbed off 80% of its hair. These ghosts are sick, starving, and fatally anemic. But the ticks live on. Females remain dormant in the ground for weeks. In Africa, some species survive without food for much, much longer. In harsh environments, big mammals are few and far between. So a tick finds a shady tree and heads underground to wait. And wait. Ticks are the ultimate survivors because they can sit waiting for a blood meal for 10 years. We've seen 10 of nature's toughest animals battling adversity for days, months, and years. But only the tick can survive without food for a decade, which is why it's #1. When animals go rogue, either get out of the way or die. We're counting down the top 10 ultimate animal attackers to find the killer creating the most carnage. Nothing's safe when the world's wildest flip their lid on the ultimate animal countdown. Be afraid. Be very afraid. When wild animals go wild, the results are devastating. We're analyzing the assaults of 10 angry animals, comparing the likelihood of attack with the power of their weapons and the number of humans harmed to create the ultimate danger index. Swimming into #10 is the world's biggest seal. 4 tons heavy, 20 feet long. The elephant seal. This young male gave underwater cameraman Florian Groner the fright of his life. It seems this seal was just saying hello. Out of the water, encounters get more violent. The dominant male. Two things happen to animals in his territory. He either fornicates or fights. Woe betide anyone who gets in his way. We can run. Others are not so lucky. Pups pay a high price. Life's just one big battle, right from the moment they're born. Mom doesn't make things easy. Having survived the delivery, the male bulks up fast. But it'll be years before he's big enough to defend a territory. Young males are driven out of the colony. They roam the ocean, homeless and horny. They're a ton of testosterone looking for trouble. This is Homer, a teenager with an itch to scratch, who came ashore in a small New Zealand town. In 2 weeks, Homer trashed 3 vehicles, 2 trailers, and knocked out the power supply. When even a young elephant seal goes on the rampage, the damage can be spectacular, but no one gets hurt. Which is why these bad bulls are number 10 on our danger index. Homer was just looking for love in all the wrong places. When other animals attack, the results can be lethal. Northern Australia, where just going to school can be dangerous. Garden rakes are the first line of defense. The cassowary, the most dangerous bird on the planet. 6 feet tall, massive legs, tipped with claws nearly 5 inches long. So sharp, New Guinea tribesmen slide them over spear points. This bird looks more dinosaur than chicken. And you really don't want to make it angry. Kung Fu kicks break bones, puncture lungs, slit throats. In just 10 years, cassowaries attacked 150 people, 35 dogs, 3 horses, and a cow. But it didn't used to be this way. Most cassowaries are shy. Hidden deep in the forest, they only attack if provoked. In town, life can be dangerous. But there's food. Some people feed the cassowaries. Others don't. Human feeding seems to have modified the bird's behavior. If a cassowary approaches people for food and doesn't get any, the bird gets angry. 3/4 of people attacked by cassowaries were feeding the birds. Their lethal claws have killed a human, which kicks this bird into number 9 on our danger index. Our first 2 attacking animals are covered in fat and feathers. But fur flies when people get too close to a grizzly. The animal striding into number 8 doesn't like surprises. Meet Troy Hurtubise of Ontario. He has unorthodox ways of getting closer to bears. All he needs is a garbage heap, a liberal coating of syrup, and a serious suit of armor. His shell of chainmail, titanium, rubber, and airbags took 15 years to develop and survived rigorous testing. Troy's ready to test his theory. Launching a surprise attack seems to be a way to drive off hungry bears. The trouble is, not everybody goes hiking in the woods wearing 145 pounds of body armor. Other scientists use different precautions. Polar bear. Studying the land's largest carnivore is risky. It's armed with powerhouse paws the size of dinner plates and 2-inch long canines set like daggers in formidable jaws. If you want to get your hands on some cubs, you'd better be sure that you use sufficient tranquilizer. Get it wrong, and you're in for a big surprise. The tranquilizer dart is in, but the bear's not out. Scientists and bear escaped unharmed. Others are not so lucky. Bears are not normally malicious. But they'll fiercely defend food and family. Even bears are nervous around bears. Males kill other males' cubs. Fortunately, this male has other things on his mind. The cubs keep well clear. And so should we. The bear's lethal jaws and paws kill 2 or 3 people every year, powering the big beasts into number 8 on the ultimate danger index. Which is why rescuing bears is risky, requiring the fire department, a tranquilizer, and trampoline. The rhinoceros. Big horns. Bad eyes. Excellent ears. Usually, they avoid humans. When they hear a strange sound, most flee. Some fight. is a hook for throwing enemies high in the sky. The hardened hair strong enough to pierce a car door. The rampaging rhino, with its horrific horn and spectacularly short fuse, kills several people a year, pushing it up to number 7 on our ultimate danger index. Rhinos will charge anything that sounds unfamiliar. Even the sound of their own dung falling can trigger an attack. No wonder a group of rhinos is not called a herd, but a crash. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, along comes the animal swimming into number 6. The shark. The most feared fish in the sea. This is the Hollywood image of the shark. Cold-blooded killer, attacking anything that moves, including cameras, cages, or humans. Yet despite the power of their jaws and teeth, attacks are rare, killing only a handful of people each year, placing the shark at number 6 on our ranking of animal attacks. But for every human death caused by a shark, 10 million sharks are killed by humans. So which species is the most dangerous? The deserts of America are home to angry immigrants. Bees. Very nasty bees. Descended from African ancestors, killer bees are far deadlier than their European cousins. Killer bees fly into a rage with less provocation, pursue with greater persistence, attack in greater numbers, and sting anything that moves. If attacked, run fast. Stay still, and you can die. One victim, trapped in a crevice, was stung 8,000 times. At his autopsy, they counted 46 stings per square inch of his body. In 30 years since their release in Brazil, Africanized bees killed 1,000 people. In Latin America alone, there are now over 100 million hives. That's 1 trillion bees. The dose of venom in the sting of each bee may be small, but their massive swarms usually kill more than 30 people a year, flying them into number 5 on our ultimate danger index. This is one mob you don't want to mess with. We're halfway through our ultimate countdown of the top 10 animal attacks. And the body count rises when nearly a ton of beef sees red. Africa. People come to see big game. But the big game is dangerous. The animal charging into numbered 4 has killed more big game hunters than any other African animal. You'd think it would be the king of the jungle. But a lion's no match for a cow. The African buffalo. Nearly a ton of muscle, hoof, and horn. A herd can drive off a pride of lions. And if they get the chance, take a terrible revenge. Buffaloes kill more than just lions. Away from the safety of the herd, a lone bull is extremely dangerous. A strange smell or sound, and they charge. In Africa, they're called widowmakers or Black Death. African buffaloes, armed with lethal horns and hooves, kill up to 100 people a year, charging them up to number 4 in our danger index. The buffalo, 2,000 pounds of bad temper best left alone. But it's not the only African animal that really sees red. In the tropics, traveling down a river can be dangerous. But the animal charging into number 3 can cut a crocodile in half. The hippopotamus. One of the most dangerous animals in Africa. They spend up to 18 hours a day in water. Hippos look fat, not furious. But on land, they can move faster than Olympic sprinters. So it's a bad idea to get between a hippo and home. When most land mammals feel threatened, they can escape in any direction. The hippo's home is only a small stretch of water. With nowhere to run, the hippo's best defense is attack. hippo's horrendous jaws kill up to 300 people a year, pushing it up to number 3 on our danger index. At least the hippo generally minds its own business. Stay out of its way, and no one gets hurt. Unlike the animal stalking into number 2. The attacking animal at number 2 has the greatest range of any wild cat on the planet. It's a loner, an opportunist, and will even go after other cats, like the serval. She's spent the day guarding her kittens. Now she must leave to find food. And she's being watched. The kittens are cute. But to a leopard, they're competition. The leopards don't feed. They simply remove unwelcome predators from their territory. Leopards kill quick. The most adaptable of all big cats, leopards prey on over 90 species and occasionally humans. This hunter suffered a broken wrist and serious puncture wounds. Other attacks are lethal. They're only the size of a large dog, but their claws and jaws kill about 400 people every year, pushing leopards all the way to number 2 on our index of animal attacks. In India, leopards and people live side by side. Human fatalities are rare. But its stealth, boldness, and opportunism make it a formidable attacker when some animals develop a taste for human flesh. One famous man-eater claimed its first victim in 1918. During an 8-year reign of terror, it killed more than 125 people. Striking so silently, parents didn't even wake. Today, when a leopard strays into a village, the locals call for help. In India, leopards are protected by law, so officials go in with tranquilizers. The leopard comes out angry. A crowd can't contain an angry leopard. And the big cat escapes back into the forest. The leopard is stealthy, silent, seldom seen. Unlike the ultimate attacker, 5 tons of raging, roaring testosterone. We've seen 9 of nature's nastiest attacks. Only one animal creates more carnage. It's number 1. These farmers are in a race against time. If they leave their rice harvest in the fields, it'll be gone in the morning. They prepare their defenses against the ultimate animal attacker. Fireworks and torches scare some massive marauders, but not all. In Asia, raging elephants destroy houses in search of food. And yet, people don't hate elephants. They work them and worship them. Elephants are sacred animals. In this festival, there are 100 elephants, 20,000 performers, and 1 million people lining the street. But not all elephants are party animals. There are 6 elephants in this parade, but something sends one animal into a homicidal rage. People are injured. 2 people die. Not even elephants are safe. elephant rampages for 3 hours before tranquilizers take effect. Attacking elephants kill around 500 people each year, which is why these pissed-off pachyderms charge into #1 on the ultimate danger index. Humans and elephants have been working together for 4,500 years. Most of the time, it's a successful partnership, except when male elephants are in must. For several weeks every year, a bull elephant's testosterone levels increase 60 times normal. The dribbling, swollen glands near his eyes signal this male is in must. Hopped up on hormones, the bull has a competitive advantage over other male elephants. But the raging testosterone makes him aggressive and extremely dangerous. The elephant, sacred and scary. This combination of awesome power and awful attacks is why the elephant is #1.